Part 2, people, of our couple series. My name is Gisele, founder of New Initiative.
Hello everybody, my name is Edgar. I'm the husband of Gisele, the founder of New Initiative,
Yes.
Part 2.
And he's so blessed to have me.
I am blessed to have her.
Best women on earth. So when we first got married, of course, I was thrilled because I married my best friend, like the man of my dream, and career-wise, we were doing well. And then a few months later, boom, I had Louis Christophe in my belly. So of course, I was very happy because that was something that I was looking forward to. I've always wanted to become a mother. Becoming a mother was actually such a blessing. I've been waiting for that moment for a long time, and having to hold my baby in my arms and see how handsome he was. I think at that time I was the most blessed and happy woman on earth. And he grew up, I'll say normally, hitting his different milestones. And then, but at one, he was still not saying any word. At 2, nothing. Well, actually, I remember at 2, he could say au revoir in French, which means bye. There was a song that was on TV. He was watching some videos, music videos with his nanny, and I remember there was a song. He could repeat the chorus, and then for some times after that, it was just like a shutdown. He couldn't say anything, not even mommy, which it's something he used to say when he was 2. And also I started to notice that sleeping was actually very challenging. We could put him to bed at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. and then he'll wake up at, let's say, 1 a.m. all the way till 9 p.m. Imagine. And I was working, and that happened maybe almost every day. So it was actually a time where we were pretty exhausted, but still, to us, the only red flag was the boy is not talking, and maybe it's something that will be reversed, because in my family, I have a brother who spoke pretty late, and yes, so I wasn't that much concerned. And then in 2014, I think, we moved to Kenya because my husband got a professional, he got a job here in Kenya, and that's where we had a proper investigation, let me use this. And that's where we received the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. But there's another part which I forgot, because before we came to Kenya, we went to Cameroon, and he was 4 at that time. And I remember the pediatrician at that time spoke about pervasive development disorder. And I was like, yeah, but what is it? She was like, yeah, it's like autism, but it's not really autism. So that was the first diagnosis. But when I went back home and Googled, it was always related to autism. So I was a bit confused. It's when we came now in Kenya in 2014, that the word autism, the diagnosis of autism, came properly.
Yeah, exactly. So growing up, Louis was a very handsome boy. I remember him as a baby. I was so happy to hold him. I was so proud as a father. And he was born in Tunisia, where his grandfather was working at the time. So he stayed there with Gisele, and then they came back to Central African Republic, where we were living at the time. And I remember just to being a very proud dad, holding my very handsome boy in my arms. So growing up, as Gisele said, we saw him missing those milestones. But then we noticed other things, like he loved to play with sticks. So he would go in the backyard and collect sticks, collect very small things and align them, which already was a sign of something. And then he also was hyper, so he would run around the compound. So at the time, Gisele and Louis had to go to Cameroon because the country was going into some political turmoil. It was a civil war, so they had to go to Cameroon, and there she went to a specialist who said that according to her, it could be pervasive development disorder, PDD.
For me, I remember falling on my knees and just crying because I'm like, what? and Edgar was at work, so imagine I was alone, and I was just there crying. Like, it was like hearing a death sentence or something so bad, you know, about your own child. And then after that, now they went through all the process to confirm the diagnosis, and the diagnosis was confirmed that yes, your child has autism spectrum disorder.
So when I came back from the office and Gisele told me about the diagnostic, I was shocked. You know, our child is nonverbal, is hyper, is he's having those steamings and all those other things. But now we have a name for what it is, and so now we can look forward and decide what to do.
So to me, it was a whole other story. I think the state of shock I was in took quite some time. So I was in total denial, and I was like, no, come on. I remember I was telling Edgar, but he doesn't have autism. Look at him, he doesn't look autistic. Because I think at that time I had an image of what a person with autism should look like. And I'm going to mimic it with a lot of respect. To me, somebody who has autism is somebody who, I don't know, like, who looks crazy, you know? And I looked at my son, I'm like, yes, he is hyperactive, but he's not crazy. And he doesn't look like Dustin Hoffman, you know, in that movie, Rain Man. So I was really in denial, but now I know that denial is a defense mode. So it was a very, 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 very tough time for me. And being also an optimistic person, a believer, I'm like, it can't happen to me, not me. I mean, why me? I am a believer, I genuinely love God. I have served him genuinely, so this cannot happen to me. These things usually happen to bad people. Not that I thought we were perfect or saints, but come on, this cannot happen to us. So yes, I was in a bad place. I was in denial. But he was great. I think he saw. Did you realize that I was in denial and you were just like, okay, I need to be nice with her? Or what was your reaction? Because I was I was having harsh words.
No, I think it's I think the denial is, as you said, is a defense mode where you see a condition and then you say, why me? And then you say, okay, but it's going to go away maybe after 1 month or 2 months. You have no idea. But in your heart, you are like, maybe it's just temporary. And anytime soon it's going to change. Anytime soon it's going to say a few words. I think what was most painful was that because he started to talk a few words, I think the most painful was that he regressed. So even the few words he knew, he was not able to utter them anymore. So that for me was very painful. But in my heart, and also because at the time we knew absolutely nothing on autism, I would think that maybe next week or next month things will change.
So I was in that state of denial. Now we know what our son's conditions, and as you're trying to digest the diagnosis, and even you're in that emotional state of being in denial, you realize that your child needs help, because the more you stay in your bubble, not wanting to face the reality, your child would not get better, if I may say that. So we decided that, hey, you know what? It's time to get solutions. So we knocked at so many doors, my goodness. We tried to Google, of course, the resources that were available in Nairobi. We also had a friend, a couple that actually are friends to us that had two child on the spectrum. So we also reach out to them. And yes, so that's how you start to find solutions. And then you see the different therapists who also do different assessment. And from there, things started to change little by little. Being in denial, again, I've said earlier, it's a defense mode, and nobody can condemn you for that. I think it's normal, but please, you can stay in that space for long, because it's not going to help your child, and it's definitely not going to help you. You not being in denial means you're going to also get resources, and you're going to also get knowledge so you can help your child better. So it's not only for your child, but also for yourself. And it's going to give you peace of mind as well. When you know what to do and the challenges that your child is going through. And as a parent, when you reach out to other parents or to other support group, then you'll feel better.
I call it the question mark condition. So what to do when you have a question mark condition like autism? Frankly, for us, almost 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, there was no roadmap for us as a parent. There was, we were on our own with a child in the spectrum, hyper, steamings, and all different things. I think we started little by little. If I remember, the first thing we did was to find help. So we were going to shop, and then we were leaving him at the kids zone. And in that kids zone, we would find a person that would become his nanny until to this date. So this nanny is an extraordinary person. She's part of the family today. Her name is Fanis, and she's been tremendously supportive to Louis' development and Louis' story. So that was the first thing. And if you can get someone who can help the family is very important. The other thing that we did, we went for a different test because a child with autism would experience different things. For example, their digestive system is difficult. They have difficulties with sensory. So we went through different tests. And when we did those tests, it gave us a clue about food. Because if you don't know what you are doing, you're going to give a lot of sugars, a lot of sugary drinks, and it would get the child even more excited. So that was, I think, the getting the nanny, getting the
right diet,
the biologic test helped us in terms of the food. So we were able to give him food that would be better for him in terms of getting calm and getting more, having his attention span increased. So the next thing we did, because we also said that it's very important for a child to be included in society, and we said school is very important. We wanted Louis to be able to learn and to read. So we were looking for schools, and I think my wife did a tremendous job going, door to door. We were rejected by certain schools. They didn't want to have Louis because they said they didn't have the resources to have him in class. But we found very, very compassionate people. And the next thing we did was to look for therapists, because obviously it's a condition and there are so many information out there. So we said, we thought we needed help for professionals. That one was a very difficult one because honestly, some people don't have good intentions, so we were scammed.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to find professionals, but we did find them. And then we thought about other treatments. We went to India for different treatments. So we did a lot of things, but the key word was like there was no roadmap. We were just, I guess, being guided by God. And also, you mentioned friends. Yes, we got a number of friends with whom we could share, because you find, as a parent, you find this loneliness where you have a condition which is we come with stigma, and you don't talk about it in a spontaneous manner. So yeah, we went through different stages for food, for therapies, for school, friendships, treatments. But the most important, and Alex Giselle thought about it, is really the spiritual part of it.
And just before I add on, or maybe before we continue, I just want parents out there, or the community out there, to know that there's a say that a person with autism. So there's not like a general treatment or a general advice that you could give, because every individual is unique. So what worked for our son is maybe not necessarily what could work, what will work for your child. He spoke about the diet. We changed totally completely his diet. He was on a gluten-free diet, a very little sugar, organic food, and it really worked at that time. Now that he's 16, he can eat mostly everything, but at that time it really worked. So it's up to you as parent to get to know your child, and I believe God has given us that natural instinct to know what is good and what is not good.
So autism for me was a shock. I think they call it a life-altering event, really, because it changes everything in your life. You see your friends talking about their children, how they are going to grow up, what they're going to do in the future. You'd have different thoughts, because you ask yourself the key question: who is going to take care of him if we're not around? You ask yourself so many questions. So it's a life-altering event. Another thing also is that you see life differently. It changes our beat in terms of going out. It changes our beat in terms of even family gathering, getting with friends and all that. When you grow up, you said, okay, I'm going to conquer the world, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And now you have this condition coming into your life which is uninvited. So you have to change everything. And I remember starting to think that what I need to do in my life always, everything that I do has to be to protect my family and to give a future to my son, even beyond us.
Autism has definitely changed me as a mother, as a human being, and it just shows you how life can be full of surprises. And some of these surprises are not always pleasant. Like we have people who have lost loved ones. I have lost loved ones. People who are healed in an unexpected way. Then you have a child, and you have all these dreams and all this expectation, and bam, you receive a diagnosis like autism. So now you have to rethink all the plans, I guess. And I like what one of our psychologists said. She said, parents need to mourn the parenthood style, and they also need to mourn the child, because you have to rethink everything all over again. So that's what I'm not that much surprised now with what life can offer, if I may say that. But now when I'm saying that, I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to give like a black paint or a black story, but because we do have hope. I am a believer, and God gives us promises, and these promises are good promises, and our ending is beautiful no matter what happens in life. But that's just the essence of life. It comes with a lot of surprises, and some of them are challenging, and autism is one of them. And it also gave me a lot of humility. I can definitely say I became much, much, much humble since we have been through this journey. I'm going to give you an example. Like before, and Edgar said it earlier, we could be in a gathering with friends, and especially with women usually love to speak about the child. Oh, my child now is 7 and he does this and he da. And this one is 12, and oh, can you believe he has a girlfriend? All this talk. If it was 5 years back, or even 5 years back, I would be just trying to escape the discussion, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to tell anyone that my child has autism. And it's like you feel a bit ashamed, not ashamed of your child, but ashamed of what you are experiencing. That's what I used to feel even 5 years back. But now, I don't care. You talk about your child, I'd be very happy to hear the story about your child. I am also going to tell you the story about my child, telling you how he loves swimming, telling you how he loves hugs. And then when you ask me some specific question related to his age, and I'll tell you, oh, he can do this or he doesn't do that because he has autism. And I will say it with a lot of pride, because that's part of what I live right now. So there will be no shame or nothing. And I think that's, to me, it's a sign of humility. Because I think when you are a bit ashamed of something, it's actually an indicator of pride. And I am not ashamed at all to describe my story, because that's part of my story and my life. And it's also a process, a way to educate people. So yes, definitely it showed me humility. And then lastly, I like when my husband say I'm a very giving and compassionate person, but it even gave me more compassion towards any human being. And of course, now when I see a person with, no matter what the condition is, no matter what the disability is, I really feel like wanting to protect them, wanting to advocate for them. And it has been a beautiful human experience. It brought a lot of humanity, I think, to me, and as a couple, I think it made me also had another side of Edgar's character. I could see how he's a good father. He's a good father, and of course that makes you love your partner even more.
Autism changes you for life, meaning that you are not the same person, and even you are not the same couple.
Yeah.
And we say that because we know how difficult it is. Autism it's a costly condition. Autism is a condition that comes with a lot of cost and other things to do. And we know that put a lot of stress on parents and on couples. So we are aware of that. It's not, we know that it has destroyed a lot of families, especially men, that do not want to have any part of it. So I think for us, it makes a bond stronger. It made, we have a very tight bond as a family. And it changes you for the good if you are willing to give it a chance, even though we know it's very difficult because it's an intimidating condition.